Yeah, another beautiful song, Leonard. Thank you. And so true. There's so much to be thankful for. As we move into this week of Thanksgiving, it's always appropriate to pause and consider all the benefits of being grateful, of expressing gratitude. One of those is that it is heart-opening. And I'd like to invite you to join me in watching this video.
Today, boys and girls, we're going to take a few minutes and draw on the pieces of paper in front of you something or someone you are grateful for. Taking the time for gratitude is so important for our peace of mind and our happiness. And it's a great way to remind ourselves how lucky we are for what we have and who we have in our lives. Afterwards, we're going to share what we've drawn with the rest of the class. Let's begin. Class. Now, who would like to come up first and share what you're grateful for?
Me.
Yes, Sarah, come on up.
I'm thankful for trees because they give me oxygen.
That's wonderful, Sarah. Thank you so much. Who would like to go next?
I'll go.
Jason, come on up.
I thank my parents because without them I wouldn't even be here. And also they help me with my homework, and I love them. Chocolate! I'm grateful for chocolate.
Okay, Rebecca. Thank you. Simon, why don't you come up and share with the class what you're grateful for? Come on up, Simon. I'll be right up here with you. What are you grateful for, Simon? How would you like to play a game with your classmates to see who can guess whose hand you drew? Would you like that? All right, class. Can anyone guess whose hand Simon drew?
I think it's the hand of a policeman because they protect us and keep us safe. I think it's Simon's hand because he's grateful to have a hand. Is it the hand of God? No. It's your hand, Miss Sanders.
We get to see in that video all the energy that we have that comes out as we take the time to express our gratitude. We express gratitude out of appreciation. And it not only opens us up and brings us out of this tendency to hold ourselves so tightly, but we also get to see the impact that it has on others, that we're letting others know that they're having an impact, that their life matters. It's inspiring, it's inviting, and it touches us. It often touches us deeply. And we've had a lot to be grateful for. I really appreciated one of the things that Sylvia Sumter said last week in her talk, where she said, not all things are good, but all things have good within them. Something good, right? And this year, it would be easy to say, not such a great year. And yet, the amount of things that we have to be grateful for are nearly unlimited. I just made some lists for myself. I'm grateful for the doctors, nurses, hospital workers, food preparers, dishwashers, grocery store stockers, trash haulers, and the many other people that kept our essential services moving through this whole pandemic. I'm also particularly grateful for those that really had the potential of being in harm's way or bringing their families into harm's way by performing these services, of being those frontline workers for us. I live in the mountains now, and my community was one of the communities hit by fire. I'm particularly grateful, and even Boulder really also came very close to being touched by fire. I'm grateful for the firefighters, law enforcement personnel, and other first responders who risked their lives here to keep our communities safe, to keep us safe. I'm thankful for the researchers and the scientists who have apparently come up with a vaccine, right? A vaccine that very soon could be assisting us in getting back to a life that's more normal. And it doesn't just have to be gratitude for people. I realized the other day I'm extremely grateful for Netflix. And Amazon Prime, and what are some of the Apple TV, they've just been a wonderful companion and maybe even a little distractor during all this. I'm grateful for these platforms that have allowed us to continue to connect. And I don't know about you, but wow, I am so grateful and appreciative now of face-to-face contact with someone. It will never be the same for me. I will always be appreciative and not take it for granted after this year of seeming isolation. And I'm grateful for the creativity that has been unleashed through this pandemic. It's really been astounding. But we like to take time during this particular service to express our gratitude for you. We're a spiritual community, and spiritual communities do not thrive unless people are willing to step up in service. We're always thankful for your willingness to share of your abundance with us, to be the recipient of your financial gifts. But it's also your willingness to share of your talent and your time that keeps this organization moving. And so we'd like to invite you, usually in this service, we're calling out the different teams and the different people we can think of that have stepped up in service. A little bit different this year without you being present to us. So we wanted to invite you to just type into the chat ways that you've been of service to this community this year. And we'll be reporting back on those later in the service. So take the time right now. I wanted to just highlight a couple that I thought really reflected the creativity that can happen in times of change. One of those is our prayer chaplains. Our prayer chaplains one of their big jobs is to be here, present in the service, to be present in the sanctuary and available for us to pray with. But that's not the way it is right now. And after trying a few different things, they stumbled on writing prayers that we publish every week in our update. And if you are reading those, you know they are terrific, very inspiring. Or Laura Beeler, who reached out to us and said, seems like in times like this, some written inspiration would be good. And I'd be willing to do it. And so have you read her articles in their update? Again, they're just that little shot of inspiration that help us to get through, that remind us of the light that is all around us and that is us. So how have you been of service this year? And don't fall into the comparative judgment. Really. Everyone showing up and sharing their time, their talent with us is a huge blessing. Type it in the chat now. And I'd like to take us in just a little bit of a different direction now. To look at how gratitude has so many benefits in our lives. We could talk about gratitude probably for weeks. But today I would like to focus on how gratitude supports us in our realization, in our coming to an understanding of who we are as a spiritual person. And to do that, we have to investigate our cynicism. I don't know a single person that doesn't have cynicism. And in this, I'm particularly drawing on the part of the definition of cynicism that refers to doubt. How we begin to doubt ourselves, doubt our spiritual practice, doubt our spiritual path. It's easy. And when we start out on any path, there's a healthy amount of cynicism, right? Is this going to be working? We're discerning, we're watching to see if it works. But for so many of us, then things begin to happen in our lives, right? I mean, even down to manifesting things like a parking space. I mean, we begin to, wake up a little bit, like our eyes get opened. And yet the cynicism will come in and say, well, it's not going to happen again. Or even a better one for me, see if you can relate to this. I'll feel like I've had some breakthrough, some real transformation over an issue. And then the next week it manifests again. Either I act out in exactly the same way that I've been acting out for years, or the same situation manifests with a different person or, slightly different circumstances. And I'm like, well, wow, maybe I'm too far gone for this work to really happen on me. I mean, it can show up in so many ways. It can show up in our comparative judgment with others. It can show up with our self-criticism. It definitely shows up with doubt and fear. What's interesting is that gratitude is one of the remedies. You see, when we move into a place of cynicism with that doubt and that sense of deficiency and that wondering, am I really worthy, or do these practices even work? When we move into that place, we tend to pull in close. We don't really want to reveal to everyone, either this, well, we might, if we're projecting it out, that Unity Church, that place is a fake. Or, we're sitting there going, we don't really want to say, we're so far gone, nothing's going to help. But you see, gratitude reminds us of what's working in our life. Gratitude always begins to bring us back to the good because we're grateful for what's working. And in that, we have the opportunity to break the trance. And when we break the trance and we're able to relax, because that's inevitably when we don't think things are working, or when we have a pandemic going on around us and we're afraid of getting sick or afraid of our loved ones getting sick, we're tense. We're not able to fully surrender into who we are. And when we surrender, our true nature, that Christ spirit within us, reveals so much potential. That's why we named this talk Gratitude, the Key to Everything. Because it's beyond often what we of ourselves can do. I ran across another video. This is Video Sunday that I want us to look at together. And I want you to particularly pay attention to the cynicism and doubt that are present in this woman, and then how she relaxes and how her true nature, the light of the Christ Spirit, takes over. Another moving example of us transcending, transforming, if you will. We heard this woman speaking of her doubt, of her cynicism. I get afraid. I don't think I can do it. I'm not sure I'm up for the task. I'm worthy. And the doubt so often short circuits us, keeps us from moving forward. This woman, despite her articulation of fear, had some significant capacity, at least in my opinion, because to have a judge stop you partway through a prepared song, and I don't think you casually prepare to be on a show like that. I mean, you have prepared, and to ask you to change songs, something in her was able to give way to her nature. And that was powerful. And all of us, whether we recognize it or not, have had moments where we have been in the flow, been in that certainty. Did you notice any doubt when that song was being sung? There was the certainty of Spirit. Spirit doesn't even consider whether it's certain or not. There is just something about Spirit that is steady, flowing, making use of the qualities and talents that we have developed through practice. Lots of opportunity for gratitude, right? Gratitude for this woman's daughter who saw potential in her through her cynicism could not see. Gratitude that Simon was willing to stop her and invite her into a higher experience. But what's interesting, and what's something for all of us to pay attention to, is despite that phenomenal spiritual experience of getting to see that when we get out of the way, Spirit takes over. Her individual self inevitably will come in after that and say, well, that won't happen again. Or you certainly can't trust that. Or that was a fluke. And yet, when we come back to the gratitude, it doesn't necessarily erase the cynicism, but it keeps us from getting sucked into a place where we're doubting our capacity, where we're doubting our practice, and instead allows with a certain degree of certainty, with a certain degree of excitement that those kids expressed in that first video of, yeah, and I'm going to apply myself even more to my practices, to my prayer, to my meditation. I'm going to apply myself to, for me, I do inquiry, or you might be doing the RAIN process. I'm going to continue to practice my singing because Spirit makes use of that which is developed in me. And I am grateful for that. In his book, Radical Forgiveness, a book that we just finished a 7-week study of, Colin Tipping, in a simple question, invites us into this gratitude for every moment. Are we willing to accept that there is a divine process involved in this, whatever this is in our life? In my daughter inviting me into being on America's Got Talent, or on this seeming disaster that's happening in my life right now. Is there something that I am being invited to? Some kind of doorway to be stepped through? Continues to keep us in that place of gratitude for the fact that the universe never gives up on us. loves us to our core. And in his book, Spiritual Economics, Eric Butterworth says, we have a choice to be great or small. When we're grateful, we're great. When we become lax in the expression of gratitude, we become little people with little minds, leading little, inconsequential lives. Gratitude opens our heart and invites us to welcome life. Gratitude lets other people know that they're impacting us and that through that impact their life matters. It inspires them to keep going, to keep on. And gratitude is a natural remedy for cynicism, thus bringing a contrast to the doubt and the sense that it's never going to happen to us, or we're not worthy, or the spiritual program or the spiritual community that we're part of, they don't know what they're doing, where we miss out. Instead, it invites us to trust our nature as spirit. And in that trusting, to open up to the pure potential of spirit, making full use of our qualities, capacities, and talents to light the world. This week, I invite you, and the truth is, cynicism can be so subtle. Even our comparative judgment with others is an expression of cynicism. I invite you to begin to take the elixir. Begin to maybe do a gratitude journal in the mornings when you get up. Just write out what you're grateful for before you go to bed. Write down a few things. Or if you're coupled or in a family, take some time at a meal, once a week or maybe every day of the week to express your gratitude. Let it bring you in to the life of untold potential. For our meditation today, actually, I'm not going to drop these notes just yet. I wanted to draw off a piece that Unity World Headquarters put out called Reflections on Gratitude. You may have received this. It's a beautiful collection of prayers and tools for gratitude. As we move into this time, I invite you to take a couple of nice deep breaths. Let yourself connect with your body. Connect your feet to the ground. Bring yourself here and now through your presence. And as we move into that presence, I'm just going to read a few statements that touched me in this pamphlet. When we give thanks, we are really giving our blessing. Like sunflowers turning towards the sun, giving thanks turns our hearts towards our good. Giving thanks turns our hearts towards our good. I give thanks to Spirit for the divine purpose and timing that together weave a golden thread of opportunity throughout my life. I give thanks to Spirit for the divine purpose and timing that together weave a golden thread of opportunity throughout my life. I give thanks for the light of the world that I am and for my expanding ability to let this light shine. You are the light of the world. And let's sit together now in the silence, allowing that light to shine.